All right. Good morning from here, and welcome to my training video. So basically, I'll be sharing the top, really top secrets of major things, or basically one important thing. I will start by making the statement: there is no progress without order. I'll repeat that: there is no progress without order, and then there's no destination without direction. So I'll build upon those two statements, and then we'll strategically align it to a trading system, and we're going to end up having a simplified trading order. I'll still repeat that those quotes or those my statements of mine, because they are going to be tools to navigating along this the direction I want us to go on this training. So I said there's no progress without order, in the sense, or in other words, there is no progress in conflict. All right, or there's no progress in chaos. So for progress to exist, there has to be order, and then for us to reach a destination, there must has to be a direction. All right. So the financial market works the same way with this statement of mine. Now, if you've had series of ups and downs in your trading results, series of inconsistencies. Today you go today you hit some certain level of threshold, and then the next day you're hitting the the lowest of it. Friends, I would want you to do this. Stick with us, and we're going to explain that bit by bit. Like I mentioned before, for you to attain to a certain level of destination, you must have a direction. In the direction, I call direction in the financial market, I call it transition. All right, I call transition, and then there is what I call structural movement in the market. I repeat that. There's what I call structural movement in the market. Now, what is structural movement? I'll explain this in a layman's understanding. And as you follow up on this training, we're going to get to the root of all of it. This is actually, if you're new in the forex market, this could serve as a huge turnaround for trading career. All right, so what is structural movement? Structural movement, or what I call structural movement in the market, are a particular system, a particular layer, a particular way, a particular pattern the market has decided to trade upon. I repeat, a particular order, a particular way the market has decided that it's going to follow in a particular trading section. Now, why is it that your results are not consistent? Or why is it that you're not sure about your strategy? I will explain all of this on this section. The first reason is because, one, your strategy is not adaptable. Write it down. I'll put this down. One, your strategy is not adaptable. Two, your strategy is not amenable. One, your strategy is not adaptable. Secondly, your strategy is not amenable. Now, one thing I must prove correctly is that the market is always correct. The market is always right. As long as you want to dwell in here, you must learn that the market is always correct. So you're not going to come with the notion to prove or to make the market or reduce the market to the level of your intelligence or what you feel like the market should do for you. But you're coming to us to follow the market. You've heard a lot of people say, follow the trend. So you've come to what? To follow the market. So if you're going to follow the market, then the market must have supreme power. That's all of the power must be what? Must be delegated to the market. All right? So firstly, you have to be adaptable. So by being adaptable, you're ready to break all of your resistance to make a way for a flow in the financial markets. Secondly, you must be amenable. Now, what do I mean by you must be amenable? You must be amenable in the sense that the broken rules you've adapted in, you should also be able to break those broken rules. yet again as many times as possible. That is why I can categorically tell you that there is your strategy is not consistent enough until it becomes a strategy that is so flexible. All right, your strategy is not a strategy enough until it becomes a strategy that is so flexible. Yes, that is why you find a lot of people they spend months, spend years building a strategy, and the strategy works, and at a certain point, fails or stops working. That is why they experience that. You have to become flexible. Your strategy has to be flexible since you've decided that the market has a supreme power. So when the market feels like switching to another kind of way, the strategy has to also be able to follow suit, seeing that you have no authority in the system, in the market, seeing that the market has all of the power and all of the authority, right? So that's for that. Now, how do we navigate around this right now? That's the problem, and that's the question. That is why you just really need to click on the subscribe button, like and share, and keep following. Let's go to the really, really important part. So I promise that I'm going to share very, very simple to know, really not complicated. You don't need all of the indicators. Like I mentioned, I don't have to teach you several indicators, and you don't have to know more than you should know. Too much knowledge is a problem. You see a lot of people doing several analysis, charting with a lot of indicators, and boom, there's so much confusion. Remember my opening statement, I mentioned that for there to be progress, there has to be order. So if your chart is not orderly, there's going to be chaos. And I promise you, there's no guarantee in excellency or in any results in disorder or in chaos. So firstly, you must adapt to is a trading system that is orderly. So in my training section, I'm going to teach you how to firstly minimize and maximize orderliness, beginning from your chart to your analysis. So it's going to be very simple, straightforward, no complication, and really, really actionable. So my structural movements in the market, like I mentioned, I have what is called structural movement in patterns. Structural movement in patterns. What is structural movement in patterns? Structural movement in patterns tends to explain the various trading patterns that exist in the market. So on that note, on that regard, if you've not seen my trading videos on candlestick patterns, I would recommend you going back to them. But also, I'll be dropping advanced training videos on candlestick patterns, and also you need follow suit. You need to watch them and practicalize it. Practice is what makes happen in this trading world. All right, so I have a structural movement in patterns. I've talked about how you can develop yourself around structural movement in patterns. And then the next one is structural movement in transition and levels. So in transitions and levels, you will learn about movement in the market, directions. Remember that nothing happens until something happens, until something causes it to happen. There is no change without a change. So we already established that there is two basic things we do in the market, either we buy or sell. And for those two things to happen, there must be movement, either up or down. So since there has to be movement, either up or down, that means price has to change direction from point A to point B for that to happen. And within the period of price trying to move from point A to point B, or within those levels, we call them transition. So for price to effectively move from, let me do a quick. So I want to use this. For price to effectively move from here, so, sorry about that. I'm just going to take this off. Okay, let me take this call. It's in a simple term called movement. For it to also do below it, that is from above this level to this, there has to also be what movement engaged. So from this point, so when the process of price engaging in either going up or down is what I call transition. It's what I call transition. So we have what it's called structural movement in transition slash levels. So if you noticed, structural movement in transition slash levels has two dimensions. Okay, so we have structural movement in support and resistance and structural movement in demand and supply. All right, so we're gonna deal with all of these things in advanced level, in pro level, right? All you need to do is just stick around. So structural movement in transition. Let me explain this. Price movement from all of these levels has some what we could call stumbling blocks or obstructions that can happen. Right? It is not possible for price to move all the way up without having some series of rejection, reversals. All right. So, and we already established the law that for something to happen, then there must be another opposing force because that thing to actually happen, right? So, in those restrictions, reversals, we of course know that price does not just reject, price does not just restrict, or does not just reverse. Something comes in between price because that's rejection or obstruction. So, my structural movement has um, identified those things and has put them in a very simple concept called support and resistance and what demand and supply levels. Therefore, I could say that structural movement in support and resistance can reject the transaction, and structural movement in demand and supply can also reject the transaction. We'll do a lot of videos, a lot of training videos on all of these things. One thing you want to know about my training section is that you don't have to see my chart so chaotic. And you don't have to see my charts with a lot of complications in a lot of candles, indicators, and all of those. Right? You don't need them. You sincerely don't need them. You could need, I could recommend just a one or two, but you really don't need your chart to be mixed up. You need an orderly chart, a clear chart to have a, a progressive result, right? So on that regard, we're going to catch you up on strategic, high level support, resistance, demand, supplies, and candlestick patterns. Remember, this is what I call HFX, and HFX is already known as high frequency forex. High frequency forex. By high frequency forex remain the most advanced system of trading price. So it shouldn't come as a surprise to you if you see the system in a very unique and different way. It is unique in here and it's different entirely in here. So I will see you on my next training section. And on that, we'll talk about every other thing we establish as a concept. Remember, this is going to be a journey. And for us to arrive at our destination, we have to follow. So like I mentioned before, if you're not subscribed to this channel, do that quickly. Turn on my notification button so you can always get notified whenever I drop new videos. Remember, this is What's It, and I will see you guys on my next video.